But let's get started with an eye on the globe. US markets did show some enthusiasm on Tuesday. Kanishka, good morning. It was all around green in US.
Absolutely, Ankur. A very good morning to you, first of all. Now, let's take a look at how Wall Street fared overnight. Now, US stocks did rally overnight after US President Donald Trump said over the holiday weekend that he's agreed to delay those tariffs of 50% on the European Union. The Dow Jones Industrial Average that saw gains of about 740 points or almost 2%, while the S&P 500 that rose more than 2%. Both snapped their 4-day losing streaks. The Nasdaq composite, that's the tech-heavy composite, was also up 2.5% as technology names like Tesla saw outsized gains. Now, if you look at particular stocks, Tesla shares gained about 7% after Elon Musk said he was shifting his focus away from politics and back into his companies. Other tech-related names were also higher, including Nvidia, AMD, Apple, as well as Microsoft. Outside of tech, US steel shares advanced roughly 2% after reports said that Japan's Nippon Steel is expected to close its acquisition for $55 per share. Now, remember, yesterday's action follows a losing week on Wall Street. Now, the Dow and S&P and Nasdaq composite all slid more than 2% last week after Trump's initial call for tariffs on the EU. Now, this week, if you look at the cues that traders are going to be watching out for, traders will follow earnings from Okta due after Tuesday's closing bell. This will be followed by companies such as Nvidia and Macy's later in the week.
And ahead of OPEC meeting, ministerial meeting is set to be held today, and a full meeting will be held later on in the week. But oil prices did advance on that front, and if you talk about Brent crude, it was hovering around 65 barrels per dollar, and similarly WTI around $61. Now, all in all, it will depend whether or not OPEC nations decide to increase the output, which is expected by 411,000 BPD. And if you also see the news which was hovering around US-Iran, that has also pushed the crude higher. But all in all, if you talk about gold, that also showed some resilience in the trade yesterday. In fact, gold fell more than 1% below 3,110 per ounce, and it is rightly so after the US market rally was there. There was no demand for gold per se, and therefore it has extended losses for second straight session. And the most talked about point has been the US 30-year yield, which has fell more, which has fell most since March. And you would have seen what happened in Japan. It was getting reflected in United States of America.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.